Hi, this is Misha.
And this is Jay.
And this is another episode of Discussion at the Range. And today, I thought it would be kind of fun. We were just out shooting for the weekend and bringing whatever guns we enjoyed. And I was looking at what I had. And wanted to bring a couple of ARs and things. And found two guns that are real similar in both when they were adopted and their purpose on the battlefield. In my hands is a South Korean Daewoo K1A1. This is the semi-automatic version of the Daewoo K1A.
This is the Troy XM177E2 carbine.
And that's a replica, modern-day replica of the Vietnam gun. And the reason I thought these would be just kind of fun to shoot side by side is they really were made to fill the same purpose. The XM177 was really the first successful, or one of the first successful, CAR-15 type carbines. It saw limited use in Vietnam. They had a few hundred to 1,000. It came out around 1968, 1969, and we have videos on the Troy, so I'm not going to go into it. It's a really good reproduction. The original gun had an 11.5-inch barrel. It has a 2-position metal stock, as you see. It's pretty well A1. It's a direct gas impingement gun, rotating bolt. It's otherwise just a small AR, and it fires 223 5.56. The Daewoo K1A1, the Sonata, is similar. In the 70s, the Daewoo factory obtained tooling and permission from Colt to manufacture the M16A1, and then started to design its own guns. And the first Korean gun to be released, accepted, and adopted was the K1, and the K1A is a slightly updated version. It, like the XM177, is a compact carbine. It has originally about an 11-inch barrel. Sorry guys, I should have looked, but we're not near internet. But the original barrel is about 11 inches, so about the same as the Colt, just a smidge shorter. Flash hider. It's direct impingement as well, rotating bolt as well. Still built on alloy, and it still fires 223 5.56, and it also feeds from standard AR-15 magazines. These are both adopted and pretty much used as substitutes for submachine guns. In fact, in a lot of literature, they're called submachine guns. In the U.S., that replaced the grease gun and the Thompson, and in Korea, this replaced the grease gun and a few other things. So yeah, they're very similar. For semi-auto, of course, they both have 16-inch barrels. Actually, this one has about a 14-inch with a permanently attached flash hider. That one has about a 12-inch with a permanently attached flash hider. So the barrel's a little longer on this critter, but close enough. So we just shot them side by side. Okay.
Go ahead.
Why does this smell like pancakes? Yep, it smells like pancakes.
Also,
what we think.
I owned a K2, a Daewoo K2 for a while. The first time I ever shot one, I fell in love with it. It seemed to me to mix the basic operation as far as the piston, the gas system of an AR with of an AK, with the controls and the layout of an AR. Plus, it takes AR mags. So, very nice recoil impulse, amazing iron sights. I thought the iron sights were very dead on them, and it just feels really nice in the hand. The only reason I sold mine was because it was a pre-ban. I don't have a lot of pre-ban or rare type guns, and I just kind of felt bad shooting it all the time because I wanted to shoot it all the time because I liked it so much.
And I tell him, shoot it, but that's the difference between us.
Yep.
You know, I don't mind shooting pre-bans now and again. The truth is, though, I only shoot them with Jay because I trust him. I would not bring them out for anyone to shoot because things happen at the range, guns get knocked over, people put wrong ammo in. I know Jay won't do that, so I'm careful with my pre-bans, but you know, a lot of these guns I wanted to own since I was a kid or a teenager and never could afford, so now that I'm in middle age I can afford them, so I want to enjoy them.
Sure.
And I enjoy both of these. I mean, this is, as I said, a pre-ban. Now the K1A does use the direct impingement. It predated the K2, obviously, but a lot of the other stuff is very similar. The trigger group, for one, the sights are very similar. The bolt is very similar. It's different, but it's very, very similar. They're both rotating. Mags are the same. So size-wise, these are very much the same.
So shooting them back to back, like I said, I love the operation of the K1 being very similar to the K2. Feels good. Recoil impulse is good. Love the sights. Love the basic operation. Decent trigger. Fine trigger. No complaints there. This Troy obviously has a mystique in the way it looks for being kind of this retro AR Vietnam era kind of look to it, and as a result, it has that certain type of appeal. Just looking at it, it's got this very classic retro feel.
Retros are kind of in vogue this year. You know, Brownell started carrying a lot of retro parts, and they've been doing well. And Troy has had good success. And I see some retro trench guns and stuff. So yeah, I think they were dead on with the market with those.
And there's something to be said for either one of these guns for handiness, because they're both very lightweight. They balance very well. In a way that guns like a lot of these modern ARs that people are running, including myself, with the rail systems and the heavier barrels for match grade accuracy and all that stuff, just don't have anymore. I mean, these little lightweight barrels in this XM177E2, just they feel great. I mean, they balance really well. It just feels like a really handy.
And I love the
rifle.
Bakelite handguards. Now the Troy, as you get it from the factory, has of course polymer handguards because that's just how things are made today. But I put a set of original Colt 70s handguards that are Bakelite style, and this one has the same because originally Daewoo started off making Colt guns, so a lot of the components, the materials they used to make their designs were straight from the Colt system. So the handguards are a different shape but same material, and I love that. And same with the pistol grips. You can tell this is very close to an A1 grip, and I love the A1 grip.
Yep. So for all the things that I like about the Daewoo in general, the one thing that gets me on this over this, or I should say the other way around really, is I really don't like the K1 stock. This little kind of potato masher texture, it's kind of a hard rubber.
It is rubber though, it's not plastic, which is nice.
It kind of pinches the skin a little bit. You do have to put your cheek pretty close to, if not right on the wire stock, to be able to get a good sight picture. So, and that kind of whips you whenever you're shooting. This is, even though it's 2-position, which is kind of, odd. And
this is 3, by the way. This is the full out, and then there's a medium. Full out's good for someone Jay's size. Medium's good for me and probably most Koreans.
And this, you pretty much have shooting and not shooting. You got shooting and storage. That's about it. So that's that's something we're definitely not used to.
And that's a solid metal stock.
Yep.
And that's one thing that Troy did well with, was doing it now. And then where this is just wire. They basically took a grease gun stock with this and put a slightly better butt plate on it.
But this is a lot more comfortable. This is just way more comfortable to shoot. So from a handiness perspective, and even just like a basic operation perspective, very similar in class to me. But this being the retro, GI build like we're all used to seeing from Vietnam and so forth, and having a much more comfortable and traditional butt stock, it just puts it above the K1 to me.
To counter to that, I would say this stock, while definitely, I agree, not as comfortable, it does make the gun more compact because it collapses. In fact, you can pull it even all the way out by just holding the button in. You can take the whole stock off without a tool, making it extremely compact. It is lighter than that stock. You don't have a big buffer. This uses a small 2-spring buffer rather than the receiver. So that lets this gun be lighter. And to your point about that being a an iconic gun. 100% agree. I love the XM177. I was thrilled when Troy did it. But on the other hand, I always kind of thought the K1A1 was neat because it's kind of rare. It's you don't see many of them. A lot of people know the K2 and the DR200, and I love those too. But the K1's kind of the lesser known brother, and I love how light it is. I will say I think this is a lighter gun than that gun by a little bit.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know. This one feels a little lighter to me. On the other hand, I would say this one has a little bit more felt recoil than that gun.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep.
That one seems like it's a little
smoother.
I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. We're talking about 223, so these are not punishing.
No.
Both of them, too, it was a very inline recoil. It wasn't a muzzle flip. It was very straight into your shoulder, which means that in full auto, both would be relatively controllable, I bet you.
Yep.
And this gun has served in the ROK for, well, since the early 80s. And after the small revisions going from the K1 to the K1A, it's been a good gun. And that gun eventually morphed into the M4 that is standard today. I mean, there's a lot of differences, but it came into the M4.
This is a really neat build from Troy. It's something that's caught my eye and been really tempting to me to pick up.
You should.
It like I said, it scratches an itch that most other ARs today just don't do.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for small, lightweight, compact.
And yeah, exactly. It's not just the history, because I love them for the history, but it's also that they really are, small. And if you didn't want, say, the metal stock, you could put any stock on it. It's a mil-spec tube.
Sure.
I'm not saying buy one for a home defense gun necessarily, but in a pinch, hey, it worked for a lot of GIs in the jungles in Vietnam.
Honestly, this seems like this would make a good truck gun.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're out on the farm and...
Or SBR candidate.
Yeah,
SBR,
sure.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that the barrel is short. Just take the device off.
Yeah.
So, these just seem like they'd be... Honestly, we just wanted to shoot them, so we brought them out. And they seem like they would be interesting to put head-to-head. So I'm going to say I agree that the XM is a slightly more shootable gun. Mm-hmm. But it was used more like a carbine, whereas the K1 is used more like a submachine gun, although that's a pretty blurry distinction. Mm-hmm. But, I don't guess really have a favorite. Do you think you have a clear favorite?
It's the Troy.
Troy? I don't. I can't really say. I like both for different reasons. I really like my Korean collection. Mm-hmm. I think I've got a K2 and one of the pistols.
Yeah, they're neat guns. It's a shame we don't see more of the rifles.
Yeah. Maybe Troy could do it. I mean, again, a lot of the components, a lot of what goes into making these is what makes an AR.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of funny, too. These days, the last few years, you see a lot of the guns that they're trying to get away from the buffer tube on ARs. Mm-hmm. And here, Daewoo did it in the late 70s, early 80s. They moved the recoil system up here and modified, of course, the bolt and carrier to work. This AR has just been changed so they could get away from the tube. Yep. So it's pretty neat of them.
Yeah, cool design.
And by the way, both were 100% reliable all weekend. Sure. And they have been in the past. We've never had a failure out of either of these guns.
I will say, too, I know on the K2 that I had, and I'm sure on the K1 as well, the finish on them seems incredibly durable. I nearly every K1 and K2 that I've seen has had just immaculate finish. I mean, with some minor handling marks.
Sure, and they might have had those when new because they're military spec guns.
It's amazing how durable the finish is.
It is really, and it seems very rust resistant. So it's real smooth. I mean, it's anodizing, of course, because the upper and lower are alloy, just like on that. But yeah, they got the mix right.
Yeah,
it doesn't rust. It prevents rust real well. It's just tough.
Yep. But
they're really good guns, and for you guys getting into pre-bans, these have gone up in recent years, but they're still not near as high as pretty much any other 223 pre-ban. Yeah. You can still get into one for well under 2,000 in really good shape. Mm-hmm. So yeah, look at the Daewoos, or look at the Troys if you want a modern gun that looks like it should be a pre-ban.
Yep.
That's the gun that Colt should have made in the 80s.
Yeah.
Not the weird SP1 carbine they did make.
Right.
So yeah, this is just more of an informal discussion at the range. That, share what we thought with you guys.
Yeah, if you like what you see, please click the like button and please subscribe if you have time to. We really appreciate every subscriber.
Yep. We'll have more of these. is Misha.
This is Jay.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.